All right, guys, this lesson, we're going to use Trig to find a missing angle instead of a side this time. So we'll start out finding some missing angles. Let's try to type this stuff into the calculator. We'll do some review, finding missing sides, then a couple application problems, and then some nice little reference sheet to help you guys out for your quizzes this week. All right, it says if you know the sine, cosine, tangent ratio of an angle, you can use the inverse function. This is read as inverse sine. This is read as inverse cosine, inverse tangent to find measure of the angle. So just like find a missing side, same steps, guys. Circle the angle we're working from. Label the pieces. Across 90 is your hypotenuse. The leg across the triangle is opposite. You have the O and the H to work with. Recap. Remember the three little acronyms: SO, CA, TOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. In our problem, we've got the O and the H, so we're going to use sine. So sine of angle X equals opposite 15 over hypotenuse 24. Okay, so what you have to do to solve for X, you're going to multiply both sides by the inverse of that trig ratio. In this case, it is sine. What happens is these guys cancel out. You're just left with X. And then we type in inverse of sine times this fraction. So to do that in the calcs, once again, make sure you're in degree mode. To type in inverse sine, no matter what calc you have, if you have the TI, the big ones, or one of these ones, hit second first, and then you find the trig function. If you look at above sine, right there it is, inverse sine, inverse cosine, inverse tangent. So I'm going to hit the sine button. So it brings it up, inverse sine, and then type in your fraction 15 divided by 24. Answer 38.7 rounded degrees. Number 2, circle the angle you're working from. Label the pieces. 11's hypotenuse. 8's the leg touching you, it's adjacent. A and the H, we use cosine. Cosine of angle X equals adjacent 8 over hypotenuse 11. Multiply both sides by the inverse of the trig function. In this case, it's cosine. Cancel, cancel. Bring down the X. Type it in. Second button first. Then the inverse cosine. Then type in the fraction, which is 8 over 11. Answer is 43.3 degrees. Number 3, circle the angle we're working from. The leg touching me is adjacent. The leg across is opposite. Don't have the hypotenuse. O and the A we're going to use tangent. Tangent of X equals opposite 20 over adjacent 37. Type in the inverse of the trig function. In this case is tangents. Cancel, cancel. Bring down the X. So one more time. Second tangent. 20 divided by 37. Answer is 28.4 rounded. Number 4, circle the angle I'm working from. Across the 90 is hypotenuse. The leg touching me is adjacent. A and the H, I'm using cosine. Cosine of X, adjacent 18 over hypotenuse 23. So second cosine of that fraction. If you type that in correctly, it should be 38.5. Type that in. Make sure you get that answer, guys. Number 5, there's the angle I'm working from. 41's hypotenuse. Across the triangle is opposite. O and the H, we're going to use sine. Sine of X, opposite 40 over hypotenuse 41. So you type in second sine 40 over 41. If you do that correctly, 77.3 degrees. Number 6, circle the angle we're working from. The leg touching me is adjacent. The leg across the way is opposite. O in the A, tangent. Tangent of x, opposite 7 over adjacent 5. We would type in second tangent, 7/5. If you do that correctly, you should get 54.5 degrees. All right, little review. Now we're going to find it could be a missing side or it could be a missing angle. So this kind of brings it all together. Same process. Circle the angle you're working from, label the triangle. Leg next to me is adjacent, leg across is opposite, O in the A, tangent. Tangent of 39 equals opposite 11 over adjacent x. Recall from last one, if the variable is on the bottom, we have to divide. So you would type in 11 divided by tangent 39. If you do that correctly, you should get 13.6. Number 8, there's the angle. 28's opposite. X is adjacent. A and the H, cosine. Cosine of 46, adjacent to x, over hypotenuse 28. If variable is on top, you have to multiply. You would type in 28 times cosine 46. If you do that correctly, you come out to be 19.5. Number 9, there's the angle. X is adjacent leg. 8 is opposite. O and the A, tangent. Tangent of 51 equals opposite 8 over adjacent x. If the variable is on the bottom, you have to divide. 8 divided by tangent 51, 6.5. Number 10, there's the angle we're working from. 31's hypotenuse. X is opposite. O and the H, we're going to use sine. Sine of 24 is opposite x over hypotenuse 31. Multiply 31 times sine 24. That comes out to be 12.6. Number 11, missing the angle this time, so it's going to be one of those inverse trig functions. 22 is hypotenuse, x is adjacent, a and the h is cosine. Cosine of x equals adjacent 14 over hypotenuse 22. Remember for this one, you got to type in the inverse of the trig function. In this case is cosine. Left side they cancel, bring down the x. Type in second cosine 14 over 22. If you do that, 50.5 degrees. Type that in, make sure you get that. 12, missing an angle once again. 78 is your adjacent leg. 25 is opposite. O and the A, you're going to use tangent. Tangent of x, opposite 25 over adjacent 78. Second tangent, 25 over 78. One more time, showing some work for you. Cancel, cancel, bring down the x. Second tangent, 25 over 78, comes out to be 17.8 degrees. 13, there's the angle. 36 is hypotenuse. 31 is adjacent. A and the H, you're going to use cosine. Cosine of x, adjacent 31 over hypotenuse 36. Second cosine, 31, 36, comes out to be 30.6 degrees. 14, missed another angle. 19 is hypotenuse. 10 is your opposite. O and the H, sine. Sine of x, opposite 10, hypotenuse 19. Type in second sine, 10/19. If you do that, 31.8 degrees. A couple tricky ones. All right, it says find DE. So here's DE. Let's call it x, right? But before I do that, I got to find this piece right here. So let's call that piece just a y. So I just look at that triangle right there, right? I'm just gonna pull this triangle out and kind of redo it for you. You got 61 here, 24 there, y there, 90 there, right? All right, let's do this problem. Circle the angle I'm working from. The leg touching me is adjacent. Leg across the way is opposite. Means I'm going to use tangent. So tangent of 61 equals opposite y over adjacent 24. If variable's on top, we multiply. 24 times tangent 61 comes out to be 43.3. So this middle piece is 43.3. Now, if I pull out this bottom triangle, there's your 90. This guy's 43.3. Don't know that, but I have 19 degrees right there. Circle the angle we're working from. Label the pieces. X is your opposite leg. 43.3 is your adjacent leg. O and the A, tangent. Tangent of 19, opposite X over adjacent 43.3. If variable's on top, we got to multiply. 43.3 times tangent 19. That comes out to be 14.9. All right, 16 wants angle W. This one's kind of tricky. It's above and beyond, but we can find it. So I'm going to put my little X right there. But before I can do this one, I got to find this piece right here. So what I'll do is I'm going to take this triangle out right here so I can find this piece right here. Let's call it Y. So I pull this triangle out. There's your 90. There's 15. There's the Y. And 25 degrees. Circle the angle you're working from. Label the pieces. Y is hypotenuse. The 15 is opposite. O and the H tells us to use sine. So set up. Sine of 25 equals opposite 15 over hypotenuse Y. If variable's on the bottom, we have to divide. So you're typing 15 divided by sine 25. That comes out to be 35.5. So this middle piece, 35.5. Now I'm going to pull out this triangle over here so we can find the missing angle. So if I just pull it out real quick, there's your 90, 35.5. There's the X, and this piece is 22. Label it. The leg touching you is adjacent. Leg across the way is opposite. O and the A, you're going to use tangent. Tangent of X equals 35.5 over adjacent 22. In the calcs, type in second tangent of that fraction right there. If you do that correctly, 58.2 degrees. Two more. Lighter leaning against the wall makes an angle of 75 degrees with the ground. All right, so with the ground, it makes a 75-degree angle. If the foot of the ladder is 6 feet from the base of the wall, so this bottom piece, 6 feet, what is the length of the ladder? Call it X. There's my 90. Circle the angle, label the pieces. X is your hypotenuse, and 6 is your adjacent. A and the H, cosine. Cosine is 75, adjacent 6, over hypotenuse X. Variables on the bottom, you have to divide. Type in 6 divided by cosine 75. If you do that, you get 23.2. Number 18. Jaden is flying a kite, and let's go 275 feet of string. String, 275. If the kite is 150 feet above the ground, so here's your little kite up there. Assume the string is straight. What angle does the string make with the ground? So I don't know the angle the string makes with the ground, but here's my 90 over here. Circle the angle, label the pieces. 275 is hypotenuse. 150 is opposite. O in the H, sine. Sine of x, opposite 150 over hypotenuse 275. Need a missing angle, so second trig function. In this case, you type in second sine of that fraction. If you do it correctly, it comes out to be 33.1 degrees. That's it for finding missing angles.